So, just firstly, welcome and thanks very much for coming out today. My name's Mike Bentley, and I am the owner of my own strength and conditioning company. I also work with various team sports and individuals with sports such as Gaelic rugby, hockey, cricket, and then individual athletes in badminton, tennis, and fencing. So these are all sports I work with within the school at RVAI as well as outside of the school too. So I've been doing strength and conditioning since probably about on and off now for the last 6 years. So it's become pretty much everything that I'm passionate about, including sport. So what I want to talk to you today about is agility and how and why we coach agility, because I think there's a big difference between agility and change of direction. And I think some coaches coach agility and actually it's change of direction, whereas some coaches will call it change of direction and then think that it's agility when they're two very different things. And they are quite hard to differentiate between the two, but hopefully today I'll be able to show you the difference between the two, because it is a very small difference, but it's very important to why. So what is agility? Agility is a rapid whole body movement with a change of velocity or direction in response to a stimulus. So that's Shepard and Young, they've kind of been researching and going a lot. There's a lot of papers that they've written about agility and how they go about coaching agility, testing agility, and why it's important to sports. And as we go through the presentation today, I'll show you why agility is important to coach and how we can go about coaching agility to suit your sport, because in my own opinion, unless you're running in a straight line, almost every sport will have some form of agility in it, and even to a certain extent running in a straight line from acceleration to top speed running will inform some form of agility. Okay, so to get us started with that definition that I've just given you, which I'll put back up on the board, we're going to get into two groups on the whiteboards. Okay. And I want you to just go over for about 5 minutes and have a look at what you think the components of agility are. So there are three main categories: cognitive, technical, and physical. So obviously your cognitive is you thinking on the pitch or on the court. Technical is how you it could be something how you change direction, what you've been coached. And then physical, what are your physical attributes that help you move better as an individual in that team or on the court. So we'll split you up into, we'll go again saying sort of 3 and 2. You can each have, I kind of want you to go next to each other so you can sort of bounce ideas off each other if you like, but try and kind of stick to your own. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to come up with sort of at least in each category, come up with about 2 or 3, even 4 maybe of each one to see where we're at, because then we'll try and populate the model that I've come up with or that I've found in the next slide. So I'll put the definition up again. Have a look, see what you think, and let's see what you come up with.
Mark, do you want on this one here?
Yeah, come up on this one here. So you've got cognitive, which is obviously you thinking. So what could that be? What could force you to think? You've got technical and physical, yeah. I'm going to try and encourage you to kind of go like you've kind of don't be looking at the big targets, the big sort of headings. Try and look right down and break it down into sort of its nuts and bolts of what it actually is. Yeah. Then from speed, what comes underneath that? So where would you come with that? Like to get speed, what do you need to be?
Strong.
Yeah. Strong. Maybe look at your sort of your body shapes.
There's more for other.
Not so much that, sort of like how you are, like how you designed for that, like sort of like in terms of.
What is that? Physical state.
Yeah, that's nice.
Specific sport.
Mm-hmm. in mind that the cognitive one is probably the most important one, as you'll find as we go out through today, why that's probably the key to agility.
Knowledge, how to do it.
Would that not then maybe fall under what you've been coached?
So this is what we were saying, it's like, is that like to do with your sport?
So this is like your sport, so this would be like, say, if you are running,
Yeah.
side step, next
Yeah.
cut, what you've been learning, and what underneath that cut, what is it that makes it, so is it like your foot placement, you know, those sorts of things? So this is
That's
almost
sport
like your,
specific.
so that's almost like your coaching, what you've been coached. This is you as an individual, and then this is you being made to think by someone else.
Okay, so this can be broken down into lateral movement, or locomotion. So say locomotion. Locomotion. Stability.
Yeah, force is good. If you look here at your technical, so stability, but how, in terms of like your stability and your sports specific and all that sort of thing, where's all of that coming from? You know, in terms of like what body part? You know, like so if I'm stepping, for example, if I'm making a cut and my foot's like this, now my cut generating. Or if I cut this and I'm standing that way, I'm not gonna generate any power.
So we talk about
Like experience or something like that.
plyometrics, and this is more like traveling, so this is like
Yeah, like running, chassis movements. So let's try to break these down here a little bit more. So as a coach, if you were to coach agility, yeah. So think of this more like as old school. So like if you're gonna coach agility, you think about right, well, they're gonna have a cut, or a side step, or they're gonna have some form of change of direction, whether it's back or something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
so-
in football, you have like an actual skill like involving the ball, changing direction.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to incorporate that.
Yeah. You can look at, say for example, like basketball. So you look at the head, you look at space awareness, things like that.
I'll give you another wee minute or two, and then we'll get through it and have a look at this model and see what you think.
So we're not all in there. So much in there. So much into it that we just it's going coaching.
Is this one natural? Does the athlete decide where they
So you coach that at some point, whether it's by visually watching that. You know, you're not born,
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, I can go step over, or I can dribble, or I can like pass or I can
There's
go.
like the repetition of it then,
Yeah.
and then the just repetition and
Right, well, let's have a seat and let's see what we've come up with. So, have a seat, and then we'll see how much of what you put up on those boards fills into sort of the model of what the components of agility and what it's a model that I found and I agree with it too, because I think that everything kind of falls into it. So have a look. So this is the components of agility. This model's on sportscience.com. It's actually a really good magazine to go and have a look at. I subscribe to it. And this is the author, the sort of the owner of the magazine, he came up with this model. So if we look at these two, for example, so if you look at technical and physical, okay, you're looking at probably more change of direction stuff. Okay, so this stuff is all your change of direction. This stuff can be coached. Okay, so you're looking at straight line speed, you're looking at your core strength. This is huge, particularly for core strength. So if you're looking at, if we're doing sort of wall drives and things like that where you're stepping off here, if your center of balance is off or your core is not right and you fold over, you're going to get no power stepping out of that. Whereas if I'm strong through my core right the way through, I can drive out into a triple extension and push off and accelerate really, really well. So what the technical bit, it seems that everyone sort of struggled with that one a wee bit. So if you look at your technical bit, the most important bit for me is probably your foot placement. So if you're looking, if I'm running, you know, at a defender, or if a defender's running at me, and I'm here standing flat-footed, the defender's probably going to figure out that, yeah, he's going to come and he can mark me pretty easily. But if I'm standing here and I can get real close to him and drive that way and point my foot, whichever way I'm going to go, I'm going to be able to step out that way and change direction a lot quicker than going straight and then trying to adjust and step. Does that make sense? So you've got these sorts of things which we've kind of filled in. So a lot of this stuff is coached. This stuff is kind of your physical stuff, which a lot of it is sort of naturally born with, but is again coached through either S&C and all that sort of thing. A lot of people say agility can't be made in the gym. I agree, but you can definitely facilitate it. So you can definitely, like the likes of, you know, reactive strength, power, strength training, plyometrics I saw up on the board, those sorts of things. So those, some of these may necessarily fold into some of these too, if they're done correctly. But for me, the main thing that kind of differentiates between change of direction and agility is this here, your cognitive, okay? Because this is easy, this is just drills and drills and drills of run an end drill with a cut and away you go. Whereas this, you have to react to an external stimulus. So that's probably the main thing that I pick up. So if we go back to that, what is change of direction? Change of direction is the whole body movement with change of velocity without the stimulus. But with agility, you're looking at is a response. Your body is responding to what an attack is doing or what a defender is doing. Does that make sense? For me, those are the two. That's the main difference between the two. Okay. So this is just kind of gives you a bit more information. So particularly, so the fundamental words to remember is that in response to stimulus, it's a fragment of the definition that separates a true agility from a change of direction. So change of direction is still technically agility, but kind of agility's moved on from that term now. Now it's gone this way, and change of direction has kind of stayed here, which we'll get into later when I show you a couple of drills, and you guys will design a few drills and see how you get on. The reactive component is built up of many cognitive functions such as visual processing, okay, timing, reaction time, perception, and anticipation. So that's you as a player making decisions via watching. So whether that's you watching the defender making his play, or you attacking a defender on his outside or his inside, or the defender making a read on where they're going to be going on the pitch or on the court. Okay. A lot of the stuff, if you're going to look into training agility, a lot of it's done, you know, the coach or someone will be that reactive response. So it'll be either on the whistle, when I blow the whistle, you react and do this. Or if I'm doing, you know, it's, for example, I like using different color cones. So we'll be maybe doing a couple of running drills, and if I throw up a red cone, you've got to react and do a certain drill. Or if you throw up a yellow cone, you do a certain drill. Those types of things. The main thing also, another thing that's hugely important for this is that we need to make sure that all of this is done at high intensity. Because if you're going to take it into a match situation, you're going to be going flat out. So change of direction happens like that. It's not something that can be like, oh, I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to step out this way. It changes. The picture changes all the time. Does that make sense? So if you relate to, for example, rugby, if I'm attacking with rugby and I'm looking at my defense, that defense could change the next time I look at it, because there could be an extra defender in the line, there could be an extra defender out the line, whatever it is. So we're looking for that space, and then that dictates where I go or what I do with the ball. Okay. So the why. This is why, for me, this is why we coach agility. If you look at all your sports and I think it probably even relates onto your earlier presentation in terms of disability sport, it's still hugely important. Agility, it may not necessarily transfer as much, but it still does transfer over. It's vital to the success of most sports. Because if you're playing football and you're running a straight line, that's easy to mark. Basketball, if you're running a straight line, that's easy to defend. But if you're running at different angles, making different moves, you're going to struggle to defend that. Okay? Being able to anticipate and beat defenders as an attacking team, that's your one goal, is to go out and beat the defense, whether it's going through them, around them, over them, however it is that you choose to do it. that's all agility, okay? And obviously then on the flip side of that is defenders, you need to be able to anticipate what the attack's going to do, so you can force the error so that you can get back possession of the ball, or if it's, you know, tennis for example, trying to anticipate where the next shot's going to be, or badminton, where the next shot's going to play, or what area of the court they're going to play into, and then you can adjust to that and then get some form of an advantage to win that point or score a goal or whatever else it is that you're trying to achieve. Okay, so now we're going to look at, and this is going to be kind of where we're going to get into, right into the, I'm going to get you guys to get quite a bit of input into this, okay, is how to coach agility. So a lot of the research says that there's two ways of coaching agility, okay, so we've got open agility drills and closed agility drills, okay. Closed agility drills are probably drills that you guys do all the time, and they're very structured, and they say you run to this cone and you make a cut and then you make another cut at that cone. Does that make sense? Yeah. Whereas an open agility drill is, right, here's a field, here's two players, do what you can to beat that defender. Whatever it is, so make a cut here, and that way you react to what the defense is doing, and at the same time the defense is reacting to what you're doing to make sure that you're applying pressure both ways. Okay, so these are fairly simple to do, and you can do them and they transfer really well. These, again, if you've got large numbers, you know, you may have to set up a fair few drills, because a lot of agility will be one-on-one, that sort of thing. So if you've got a large group of players, you'll probably have to set up a variety of drills, or have 2 or 3 drills going with various coaches working throughout. Okay, so I've got, here is 2 examples, okay, of an open drill, okay, and a closed drill, okay. So this open drill, lateral shadows, for me, this drill I think can transfer into almost any court or team sport. Okay, so if I'm the attacker, so the attacker's in red and the defender's in blue, the attacker makes the movement, so he could go side shuttle this way, side shuttle this way. The defender must shadow what he does and react to that movement. Okay, then that secondary acceleration, which is the pink lines there, okay, that is dictated by either a coach or a third player or whoever else it is. And on the whistle, then this player will then make a secondary acceleration, maybe a step and go out, and then this player must adjust to that. And then and then you can add, like I like to add a speed element to it, with a 10-meter speed sprint to finish, or something like that. Again, these drills can all be, you know, modified to suit the players you've got, the numbers you've got, whatever it is with the sport. Okay. Closed drill. Okay. This is an end drill with a cut at the end. Okay. So we're going to look at here. You're going to start at the bottom cone, accelerate all the way through. Okay. Then from there you're going to backpedal back. Because backpedaling is exactly the same as sort of you're still changing direction. Okay. Accelerate forward, and then at the cone, cut to the right. Okay. Again, you can change that and go with a cut to the right, then accelerate, and a cut to the left if you want. You can make those adjustments as you go depending on what it is. And again, you can modify that to whatever sport it is that you want to do. So what I'm going to get you to do, okay, so these are my 2 examples, is I want you guys to get creative now. So I'm going to give you probably about 5 to 7 minutes. And I want you each to come up with, so we're going to start off in our groups again. Actually, we'll go different groups. We'll separate it. So we'll go 1 and 2, and then 3 on the outside. Okay. So we'll have open drills on one board. Okay, and closed drills on the other board. Okay. So I want each group is going to come up with an open drill and then switch and come up with a closed drill. And then I want you to tell me how you're going to coach that drill. Okay. So what I'd like to say, if we've gone over, so we bring back up here. Make sure if you get to the closed drill, what are the stimuluses? Okay, what's happening there? Obviously, there's not going to be very many. Whereas the open agility drill, you want to make sure that you've got your stimuluses. Whereas the coach blowing a whistle, or there's an extra defender being added in, or whatever else. So I want you to get quite creative and see if you can come up with a drill that also relates to, you know, the sport that you play. So I know we've got a fair bit of football here, but let's try and get sort of outside of that. And trying to get into maybe a basketball, maybe netball, maybe even into disability sports, something like that, to kind of adjust and see how we can come up with these agility drills to suit our various sports. Happy enough?
Sure.
Yeah. So let me just grab a wee wipe there and I'll wipe those down. So we'll go up on this board, say we'll have our closed drills. So who's going to start on the closed drills? Right. So you guys want to start here, so you want to start on one side, and then you guys on the other side when you go over, and then you guys are going to start here on our open drills. And don't try and be sneaky and sort of modify the other team's drill when you get across to it. Come up with your own drill. Okay. There we go. Feel free to use, like I've said here, so if you want, like I've used different colors and different, you know, just to show who the defenders are, who the attackers are. Okay. And then underneath that, just give me what the sport is that you're kind of trying to design the sport for. And if it transfers over into 2 or 3 sports, even better. What sports would you translate that over into?
I mean, you could definitely do it with basketball for sure. Same principles, pretty much. Defenders gotta be the person. You could do it with American football for sure.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of invasion sports, like team sports, like if you look at all those invasion sports is, you know, trying to beat defenders and trying to take constraints off them. How could you get the coach involved in this? If you wanted to take it up level and then enhance it, because I mean that's a really good drill. But then if you wanted to kind of develop that on, how could you develop that on?
Probably do it so once you beat the defender, maybe this one's in this box.
Yeah.
So when you're in it, maybe we change direction, the skill and
Yeah. So if they beat the defender, they could carry on going through.
yeah.
Or if the defender beats him, then he has to cut and go to another box and try and get through.
Yeah.
Handy enough. It's a nice visual, I like that. Well, let's see what you've got here.
So ours is basically you can go between two, so football is basically like a dribbling.
Yeah.
So out around the cone, and then you can manipulate that as like a skill over the cone.
Yeah.
So like a step over a ball roll, whatever. Then you
Okay.
get into 1v1 practice here, where this player has to take on this player,
Okay.
either shoot or else in that ball. You go down as there could be 2 people on this. So yeah, pass to Tom and then move. Then quickly change my body shape to receive the pass here, and Tom
Yeah.
will be on the next one, and then it'll get into like a 2v1 into that there.
Happy days. And this here is just who is that someone?
That's a defender.
Defender.
So that's like, so the attack goes through this process and then comes to the 1v1 at the end of it.
So you've got a wee bit of open drill in there to the end. Yeah.
So this is,
Well, that's alright. I like it. It's good. That's just a stand. It's a good wide. It's sort of like a wide drill at the end, which is good. Okay, so you want to switch over and let's have a look and see. I'm gonna get you guys to explain your drill here at the end. Because that just looks like noughts and crosses at the moment.
More to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know how much people close, so I feel like it could be like a standard, just like T drill.
Yeah.
You could almost look at here as almost like maybe a speed, trying to, you don't have to have a ball, remember?
okay.
Yeah.
So you have the,
Well,
going
it
here.
could be, you have corridors in. So like, yeah, so like if I'm, there's me, if I beat you, there's corridor.
Yeah.
And then
Here,
that would mean that there
slides.
could be another defender here.
You know, slides
And I
around.
could be
Yeah.
again here, I could go in this corridor.
Back this
Yeah.
way.
So it's decision making again,
Yep.
what way you wanna go.
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
What about if we wanted to simplify that?
Like if you had, say, for example,
One defender,
Yeah.
you just have.
Even so.
Another corridor for the shield.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So plenty of
and if you,
cross.
like, I mean, again, that's,
Come back
there's a
here,
lot of
or-
change of direction
Uh,
there,
it
which
would-
is great.
I mean, we
But
could
if
do
you
like
say you
come
had
back,
one
you go
defender,
up,
so if you
come
wanted to
back
be a
and
defender,
do that.
and you wanted the draws, could you maybe then have a look at, say, for a circle of attackers,
Mhm.
and the greatest game ever invented is take it in the middle?
You could like a rondo,
Yeah.
yeah, you could do that. You could also do, like I said, it's just gates.
Yeah.
And then what do you guys wanna have for,
Yeah, we go back it up
Go
first,
up,
on the
back,
back
or-
legs, or else you
And
can
then
accelerate
if you want
through.
to,
so you guys
Some
want to
top
do
left,
that,
for example.
Yeah.
or like a mixed person, like a 2v1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we can have
Yeah,
either
we're
from there,
yeah.
both, all of them go.
Where we at here?
Go through this gate.
Cathedral.
Yeah, it's Cathedral.
Yeah.
And then like you said, like at the end of it, we just have the person either run straight through, they can run back in
Again,
the
that's
first
just people do
starting
one thing
point,
where
or
there's decision making
two
there
different,
between
finishes.
gates. So we could go with this gate, maybe
Okay.
this,
Mix of the draw.
and creates a 2v1 here, so the defender has to work.
He's
And again,
to reverse back
I
to
could pass to
movement
you,
to
and
come
you
back
could
to
beat
the
him.
defense.
Yeah.
Or else I could.
So you've got, do you have a back pedal in here, do you?
Play.
Do you have a cut and a cut?
Drive.
And
Cut back in the middle.
Is there any
and
ones
go
you use
back
example?
to the original starting
Put
point.
on the back legs
Yeah.
there, and you could even do from
Yeah. there's like a dirt push thing on it.
Yeah.
Simple like that.
Yeah.
Good.
You can definitely use that on that phase out where
Is
it's
it
not
good?
necessarily use maybe like,
Right, so let's have a look at these closed rules here.
Here, here, here.
So-
and then you could move through the gate and then pass it over.
Right. So I'm
That's
interested to see these open drills over here, cause there's a lot of X's and O's. So I wanna have, we'll get through these, cause these look like, you know, your standard sort of closed agility drills that everyone would have gone through. You would have done these drills at some point in whatever sport you've done, some way with sort of various cuts and straight lines and a Y drill. So obviously you've got your T drill here, yes, standard T drill, good drill to use. And then here you've got a zigzag run with a Y drill at the end. So do you guys wanna run through your Y drill here? Do you guys understand what's going on here, roughly? Fairly straightforward. And do you guys understand your T drill here? Yeah. Right, well, happy enough for, those are fair, can you see closed drills become very standard, there's no sort of, well, you guys have added a wee open bit into the end there, which is fine. But here it's sort of, right, just pick the ball up, run, and away you go. There's no real external stimulus to what's going on here. But if you wanted to, I know you've got here, but if you wanted to make this into an open drill, how could you go about that?
Well, those
Minus that bit.
those cones just become defenders,
Yeah.
actual people.
So they can, then you have to decide, get round them on the left, or get round them on the right. Yeah. And this here, if you wanted to make that an open drill?
That's something like the guys that there at the end, they get,
Yeah.
and then some, we get defender here and then some
Yeah,
goal.
so add this code here, you can cut left and then beat the defender
Yeah.
through. Happy enough, yeah, that's good. And if we come over to here, I'm interested to see how you're gonna explain these here. So let's go with this one first.
It's just, No, so it's just, you've 3 defenders in each grade, one in each grade, and then an attacker here has the ball, and he's, any way he wants, he can beat a defender, can apply to really most sports. You can also do it without a ball as well, and then to progress it further, you can bring in, so if the defender wins it back, he gets to make a change of direction outside the grid, and then maybe get a pass off.
Okay, happy enough. And this one you guys had 2 and then you added this one in 2 as well.
We sort of went from what we did there, like 1v1s and the defenders in, we made like corridors, so it's like 1v1 here and then you can break off left or right through a corridor and then another defender and through a corridor.
Yeah.
And then to make it sort of like game related, you just have gates in a small pitch and start with 1v1, the defender has to get through one of the 2 gates
Yeah.
to create a 2v1 here. Again, I can pass to Tom or whatever and then Tom can beat the defender, or else I don't need to do that. I just go through another gate, create a 2v2 there, you score, and then if the defenders get the ball, you can just put another net there and I can score.
Happy days, very good. Well, yeah. So is everyone kind of comfortable with sort of how to coach that and sort of various open and closed agility drills? So if you guys want to have a seat and then we'll just kind of get through the last bit. Right, so this is kind of there's a lot of reading and research onto this at the minute, so this is kind of where, in my own development, where I'm kind of looking at the minute, because I think there's a lot of work that can be done on agility, because there's so much work on change direction stuff, but that agility work, there's not that much work into it. And the research I found is that there's a lot of ongoing research, because testing agility, which is another workshop, okay, is very difficult. It's very expensive to test agility, okay, whereas testing change direction becomes fairly easy because there's no sort of external stimuluses, but trying to test agility becomes very difficult time. Okay, so if you want me, I'm more than happy to send these on and have a read. They're all sort of published papers. Some of them, I think there's one or two that aren't unpublished, like this one there, but that's actually a really good paper that I'm reading at the minute. So I'm more than happy to send them on to you guys if you want them. Okay. And just to finish, if any of you guys got sort of any questions or anything like that about what was delivered today, or any thoughts on it, I'm always happy to get a bit of feedback back if you have any. Yeah.
Question. So between like agility, change direction, how do you decide how much in your training program do you do percentage of that? Like, so is it, so say like a rugby team, like a national rugby team, Irish national football team, whatever it is, how much would you do percentage wise of that, and based on what? How
Is that a professional team?
Yeah.
So a professional team, I think you're looking at, a lot of teams now, like if I look at Ulster Rugby, for example, will have a speed and agility session. So it'll be maybe twice a week they'll do speed and agility after gym work or something like that, probably about 45 minutes. And then it'll be broken down into sort of, you've got your reps here, and it'll be broken down into sort of reps and sets, pretty much like a gym workout. And then you can transfer that back into sort of gym, and depending on what facilities you've got available. But you're looking at probably about 45-minute sessions. You're looking at maybe anywhere upwards of about 500 to 600 meters worth of running to kind of really get a good stimulus out of that. And then that transfers well, at that high level running, kind of transfers well into your match, because GPS stats have said, high level sprinting, you're looking at between 600 to probably 1,000, 200, 1,300 meters for a rugby match. In a match at high level sprinting, high velocity sprinting, which is what these drills are looking to be done at. Anything else?
No.
That's 3, yeah.